Welcome to Finding Monster Right, the show about finding monsters.
Right?
I think that might have been it. Okay, wait. You know what? It can't be. We didn't ever decide if it's... Is it a question right or like a meowth that's right?
I think the best format that we had was in like episode 3 or 4. When episode 3, because one of us said right, then the other of us said right, like in agreement. So question mark and yes, that works.
I'm not going to cut this out, but let's pretend that I am.
Okay, take it off then.
All right. Well, right now? All right. Welcome to Finding Monster Right, the show about finding monsters. Right? Okay, no, that's more like us. Who are you?
I'm known as Adam.
And I am known by many names, but today you only need to know me as Monsieur Pierre Denis de Montfort's greatest nightmare.
Yes, we are traveling to the deepest depths of the seas to find out what's crack-a-lackin' down there, and it's a kraken.
Yeah, I suggested a nautical episode because we haven't done one of those really, and you were the one that suggested our title.
Re-leash the Kraken, a pet owner's guide to ship-eating squids.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Just kidding, it's not. I have a real life monster to j'accuse, and his name is Pierre Denis de Montfort, a name that I will continue to say over and over.
Can you say it one more time, really slowly?
Pierre Denis de Montfort.
Pierre Denis de Montfort?
I don't know how to do the T in French. I think my middle school French teacher said that you can only pronounce the last consonant if it is in the word carefully. And T is not one of those letters, but it just sounds wrong.
So you have a bone to pick with this Pierre.
I have a bone, or perhaps a mantle, or perhaps a boneless...
cephalopod.
Yes, and this is what I wanted to bring up. Dr. Gary Rosenberg is a Philadelphia-based malacologist. He's rather prestigious. He's sits on the International Committee of Zoological Nomenclature.
Are they into that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's good.
And
I enjoy consent.
So, the point of that is that he's pretty much a world leader on mollusk taxonomy. And I did both study under and intern for Dr. Rosenberg for an amount of time. But the point of that is I have a modicum more malacological authority than the average layman. And I'm about to gain a lot more because I am about to throw some science shade. Some science shade.
if you're expecting like a theme song button,
I
don't have one.
I'm expecting like I was hoping for a reaction. I'm putting in a theme song. I'm giving myself a science theme song. I don't even care.
I was expecting the shade to be thrown onto something. It sounds like a sentence is like a cliff side.
You throw shade.
Yes, on what?
You don't throw shade on something, you just throw shade. Okay, well, it's about Pierre.
Okay, who is this Pierre and what did he do wrong?
So, the word Kraken comes from a word... Oh, by the way, this is Origin of the Screamies.
Let's start really quick. Just want to say, the Kraken itself, before we say its name 20 times without really calling it out, is a big octopus-like squid monster that lives in the ocean.
This is precisely what I wanted to talk about. It is never described as octopus-like anywhere in the Old Norse texts.
So, yes, the Norse had a hand in its mythology, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this is where I wanted to go about. The main feature of the Kraken in the Norse myths is not that it is a squid. That's not brought up pretty much ever. The main feature is that it looks like an island, and then you land on it, and then it sinks. And then, in 1802, the French malacologist Pierre Denis de Montfort recognized the existence of two kinds of giant octopus in Histoire naturelle générale et particulière de mollusques, an encyclopedic description of mollusks. Montfort claimed that the first type, the Kraken octopus, had been described by Norwegian sailors and American whalers, as well as ancient writers such as Pliny the Elder. The much larger second type, the colossal octopus, was reported to have attacked a sailing vessel from Saint-Malo off the coast of Angola, blah, blah, blah. Montfort later dared more sensational claims. He proposed that 10 British warships, including the captured French ship of the line Ville de Paris, which had mysteriously disappeared one night in 1782, must have been attacked and sunk by a giant octopus. The British, however, knew, courtesy of a survivor from Ville de Paris, that the ship had been lost in a hurricane off the coast of Newfoundland in September 1782, resulting in a disgraceful revelation from Montfort. So, and then you click on Pierre Denis de Montfort's Wikipedia article, and it says the following sentence: he was inspired by a description from 1783 of an 8-meter-long tentacle found in the mouth of a sperm whale. So this dude took this thing that just 20 years earlier, the Swedish author Jacob Wallenberg described as Kraken, also called the crabfish.
Crabfish, right. Not a squid.
He took a crab, something with a broad, flat back, something that's hard, something that could be mistaken for, an island, and he turned it into a squid because this dude was just all into squids for some reason. And this speaks to a phenomenon that I see literally all the time, and it makes me so angry. It is this notion that, and it says so on the Wikipedia article 1,000 times, old Norse sailors saw a giant squid, and that made them think of a kraken. It's like, all right, really quick, fly to Oslo, buy a boat, do this after coronavirus is over, fly to Oslo, buy a boat, sail around the North Atlantic for the rest of your life. You will not see a giant squid. It won't happen. There's a website that I contribute to called iNaturalist that catalogs animal observations and plant and fungi and all that. And there are 5 giant squid sightings, and it's all stuff that's washed up on the shore. Giant squids don't come up to the surface. Ever. It doesn't happen. This isn't a thing that happened to them. I think maybe they just thought, hey, what if it was a sea creature that was just so big that it was an island and people landed on it and something. I mean, you see the Zaratan, which is like a giant turtle from Arabic mythology. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think a classic origin of monsters is, what if this but big?
What if this but big? And honestly, I don't think that this was ever really a squid until Pierre came along with his Squidward tentacles bullshit. I think calling it a squid is a lie. J'accuse. And you know what the proof is? Look at that picture of a giant octopus eating a ship. We're all familiar with it, right?
Yeah.
What flag is flying on that ship?
Is it the French flag?
It is not a Norse flag of any Norse country. It is a French flag. And that drawing? Created by one Pierre Denis de Montfort, 1801.
Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Ye Olde Hentai strikes again, turning our good crabby boy into a squidsy.
Well, to be fair, a close wrestling match in my top sea creatures. The more crustacean, the better. So I will happily deduce a more crabby Kraken with you.
Thank you. That was the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm reading a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of such and such. My point is, j'accuse de hentai.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no... And in the various instances in film where the Kraken is known. My two sources being Clash of the Titans and Pirates of the Caribbean. The one that appears in the Greek story, Clash of the Titans, the kind of story Perseus. Not necessarily squiddy.
Also not a Kraken, I think.
A Kraken, yes.
Oh, really? They put a Kraken in Greece.
So in the first original 1981 version, I believe the Kraken was a member of the Titans, as described by this movie maker that really wanted to throw in a big aquatic creature.
And just couldn't get the rights to Scylla.
Right, so he really settled on Kraken. Davy Jones, the Bill Nighy octopus man, captain of the Flying Dutchman, commands a giant Kraken creature to eat ships and be a good boy.
Bill Nighy, the actor guy, he?
Correct. And yeah, so in the years between 2006 and 2010, both Bill Nighy and Liam Neeson shouted on the big screen, "Release the Kraken."
And what a glorious time it was.
Yes, a great era and that's what I want to zoom in on, the releasing the Kraken. This giant, unstoppable monster is a pet.
It is, isn't it?
It's a big familiar, a beast companion. He's to be commanded and to be kind of summoned and to do your bidding.
Dope. I have lots of enemies.
Yeah, I kind of want to pitch keeping the Kraken as a pet and why it's not the worst idea.
You know what? I think this is doable.
So yes, I'm thinking key features of a good pet, a good boy, if you will.
Let's think about that. Let's flex our creative muscles here. What if? Well, what are we feeding it?
I don't want to feed it. I want it to be like one of those outside cats.
Okay, so we just let it go out and hunt whales or whatever.
If you want to raise you can't bring a Kraken onto land. Let's get that out of the way here.
Probably not. Now I am several dozen miles inland at the moment.
Correct. If you want to raise a Kraken, kind of like a hermit crab on the beach, you might want to stick to that kind of environment.
Yeah, you might have to move for this pet.
Right, and that makes sense. In some states, you can't own a ferret, or a parrot, or a
bear. It would be difficult to do that anyway, but you also couldn't do it.
Yes, so...
Ugh. I couldn't think of something that rhymed with parrot or ferret, which is a slant rhyme, but still.
My brain said carrot, and I'm like, don't make that joke.
No, that would have been good. Take it from the top. In some states, you can't own a ferret.
In some states, you can't own a ferret, or a parrot, or like a carrot.
Oh, that was a bad joke. You shouldn't have said that.
But yes, so this is a kind of coastal recommendation. I would not recommend visiting a Kraken on a boat.
No, but how else will you give him scritches? Also, is it possible that we could just, I was going to say blackfish this, but, in a good way. Can we keep him in a tank?
I think the Kraken is of very, huge size. He's, I don't want to say, unfathomably big.
He's island-sized.
Yeah,
surely.
If people talk about keeping orcas in aquariums and how terrible that is, and SeaWorld practices and stuff like that because of the amount of space that they need. You're comparatively much larger with a Kraken. So, okay, I will say, maybe not full ocean side, but a Great Lake, maybe?
Well, if it can come up for if it can come up to the surface,
Mhm.
there are things that mention that it has nostrils that it spits water out of. And, I mean, I think Pierre would argue that they're talking about the siphons, but the bits on the side of the octopus or the squid or whatever. But let's call a spade, and let's say they're nostrils. So it can breathe air. It just has to stay wet. I think maybe crab rules. I think maybe, like, it can't stay on land forever, but it can go on land.
Meeting a kraken on land is a good, like, neutral ground. People sometimes say that about, like, maybe not stray. What am I thinking of? Shelter pets that you get. You kind of, before it's like you and me in my house, it's like, hey, let's meet somewhere that's neither territory.
Oh yeah. I get that. That makes sense.
So yeah, you can maybe meet a kraken on the beach when they're not a full-blown big boy kraken. Yeah, puppy, not size, puppy like proportionally.
Puppy kraken, yes.
Yeah, a little more agency than a beached whale, for sure. But a similar scene.
What? There's a word for baby octopuses? Oh, it just says larvae. Okay, well, both baby crabs and baby octopuses are larvae, but I think a baby kraken is called a puppy.
Those are some starter points for me. How would you befriend a puppy kraken?
Well, let's start with how you would befriend a regular puppy, a puppy dog. And I don't know how to make friends.
Well, I'm thinking
dog or otherwise.
Beyond food, like enrichment. So maybe you know how krakens always love destroying ships.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe you like get a couple pallets, a couple like little kind of wooden structures. Not like a whole shoreside, but like hey, you like smashing, right? I bring it, I set it up, and you knock it down. I'm
imagining like throwing just getting several people to just heave a kayak into the sea, or maybe like shooting it off with the trebuchet or something, and just like making it play fetch.
Yeah, that's it. Although it's kind of like the dog that only does one-way fetch.
I think that's most dogs. I think it's only like very specific kinds of dogs that actually come back with fetch.
Bred to retrieve.
I love that Tom Clancy novel.
I wonder, okay, on that topic, if, say, kraken raising became a common thing, can you imagine some, like, what do you call it, some specified breeds?
Smaller.
Smaller is very good, yes.
That's, I mean, just practically speaking, that's probably the first thing I would think.
You can get down to, like, an actual pet size. That'd be great.
Like German Shepherd size, at least. But also, they have hip dysplasia. They don't even have hips. I don't even know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah, that's I wonder if like appendage length would be a thing.
Ooh.
Like I'm thinking like corgis, kind of like little itty bitty ones. If that's better or worse.
A dachshund kraken. A dachshund. No, you know what? I think like at the Eukanuba dog show for krakens or whatever.
Yes.
I think like tentacle or appendage length might be like one of the things they grade on. Well, okay, maybe the first thing they would do is split it into the crab krakens and the octopus krakens.
Correct. That's yeah, no, I could definitely see the more short pinches kind of cuttlefishy krakens. And I dig cuttlefish. I think a cuttlefish with some crabby features is that's a real friend.
That's a real friend, not like all my fake ass friends that don't have wiggly eyes and claws.
Okay, the other pet items that once you get a rapport down, they start learning commands, right? Octopi, for my recollections, or octopuses, as is also acceptable.
Right, yeah, no, the word octopus ends in the Greek word pus, which means foot, not Latin us, so octopi is not correct. Octopodes is correct if you're following Greek, but at that point, like, just call it octopuses.
Yes. So octopuses have renowned intelligence. So I think the concept of a Kraken being a mindless beast is very counterintuitive to what's probably one of the biggest brains on the planet.
Another failure on the part of Pierre. Another shortcoming of his theories. His theories which have infected Hollywood and literature for all time. Oh, that was a wrong pipe. Wouldn't be a problem if I was a Kraken.
What are some brainy opportunities in your mollusk expertise? Do people play chess with octopuses?
I've just remembered something very important that I learned, and that is that
never train an octopus to do anything. It will kill you.
Yes. Octopuses only live for about like a year or two, depending on the species. And that's kind of the only thing that's holding them back as a species, is they don't have the time to learn and to pass things on to the next generation and all that. So if a Kraken, being a large-bodied animal, is relatively long-lived, and if it's immortal, then it's definitely intelligent.
Yeah. For sure. Comprehending language, no problem. Simple commands, more complicated commands. You could train a Kraken to operate heavy machinery, certainly.
I think you could train it to vote and like have a job and be a person.
Yeah. Hell, he could be the heavy machinery.
He could be the heavy machinery.
Right, like, a construction site. Just have the Kraken overseas something pretty easy.
Well, okay, what would it build though? Because it would have to be in the water mostly.
Maybe like a tugboat type situation. He could just easily just take some cargo ships to and fro. Although, hang on, we're kind of getting into the Kraken's. Let's call it kryptonite.
Yeah, no, This is a creature that is assigned to hate boats and not build them, to destroy them.
Wait, hang on. If a Kraken is all-knowing,
which we've established is the case,
yes, then he must. Why does he destroy ships?
Hates them. Hates boats.
Yeah, does he hate boats?
Yes.
Or what they represent? Because I think he's capable of understanding that.
Well, I mean, he can be friends with people, so...
Yes. Okay, so...
Maybe if he's really... Maybe once they get too big, they aren't smart anymore.
I do not follow.
Well, like, the nerves sending signals in your brain aren't like light speed. They're just chemical neurotransmitters. So,
and you know what? We're also building this off the principle of these great beasts being pets to very small humanoids. Like, right. Very, yes, Zeus is a god, and Davy Jones has godlike properties, but you get the point.
Wait a minute. Zeus is responsible for all of our problems.
How so?
He's responsible for the centaurs. He's responsible for he might be responsible for zombies, for all I know. He might be responsible for the Philly Fanatic. That would make more sense than anything else we've seen. He's basically Paul Bunyan. Yeah, no. Zeus is behind everything, and I'm going to prove it.
Wonderful.
I'm going to take him down like I took down Pierre.
Okay, if Pierre was on this podcast, like listening to us, I do not think he would be bothered. I do not think you have pushed enough buttons yet.
Well, maybe if I had enough tentacles, then I would push Pierre's buttons.
Yes. So, back to the Kraken. The important thing here is that he's established as a sub in this relationship.
Okay, we need to talk about what that word means.
Like, the underwater vehicle.
Oh, yes, that makes perfect sense. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Oh
boy, I should just stop drinking water so slowly. Sorry.
Yeah, you can learn a thing or two from the Kraken.
I really could. I could teach him fetch. He could teach me how to drink water.
Yeah,
a skill I'm lacking in. I have a drinking problem.
So, capable of learning great things, but yeah, there's still that animal nature to him, which, like King Kong in a metropolitan theater, can't resist the call of smashing man-made sailing vessels.
He is the King Kong of boats. Do you think he could climb up a large enough cruise ship and grab a screaming blonde woman as he goes?
Sure, except I don't think there's planes that'll get him this time.
That's true. I think if you shoot an octopus, I think it just grows another octopus or some shit.
Or if you...
I am a scientist.
More headed deep underwater is is a terrible way to go. Way worse than up high in the air. How did the woman get down in King Kong?
I think
right? We all have the image in our heads.
I think he put her down to swat at the planes? Yes? Maybe.
That makes sense, but
remember.
He would have put her down on the Empire State Building, right?
There's a flat bit. They made the Empire State Building as a docking station. Kong? No, they made the Empire State Building, and this is true, as a docking station for Zeppelins.
Huh. I did not know that.
That's what the spire is for. The spire is where it attaches, and then there's a deck where you can roll down some stairs and walk down.
Has it been used recently?
No. I don't know that for sure, but I just feel like I do.
Huh. Has it been used ever?
You know what? I don't think so. Look, a Zeppelin is like a giant squid monster. It looks really cool. But then you think about it for any amount of time, and it just doesn't line up with the Norse sagas.
The ratio of, head size to actual function, doesn't weigh out.
Right.
Yeah, in both situations.
Zeppelins are such a cool idea, but so stupid.
All right, what other things do we haven't talked about potty training.
It's the ocean.
Then we don't have to.
Yeah, I started by talking about feeding, and then we just kind of ignored that part.
Yeah, feeding is going to be a thing. And that's why I would not recommend the Great Lake Kraken. But could they be bred to have smaller appetites?
Well, if they're smaller, then sure.
Yeah. Maybe, okay, I had an idea occur to me when I was thinking about why Krakens hate ships so much. And it was about overfishing.
Oh.
And how Krakens are guardians of the number of sea creatures that there currently is, and do not support man's attempts to rid the sea, loosen the number of creatures in the sea.
There's actually, from Jacob Wallenberg's description, he talks about how the Kraken eats innumerable small fishes, which then his excrements nurture in the following an army of lesser fish, and for this reason fishermen plumb after his resting place. Gradually, Kraken ascends to the surface, and when he is at 10 to 12 fathoms, the boats had better move out of the vicinity, as he will shortly thereafter burst up like a floating island, spurting water from his dreadful nostrils and make ring waves around him, which can reach many miles.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's part of this fish economy.
He is part of the fish economy. This is what he's using his immortal intelligence for, is fish stocks.
Yes, that's what I want to talk about. He's an instrumental part of this food cycle. So yes, when humans interfere with it, of course he's going to get involved.
Right.
So it's kind of almost like how some fish are like social creatures, and like when you get one in a tank, it's like, don't have a loner, have like give him some friends.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it's almost like, hey, yes, raising a Kraken's important, but also making sure that there's a healthy economy of lesser fish around him.
Lesser fish. That is... I wonder what kind of fish is a lesser fish. Just like a fish that's really down on itself.
Bronze fish.
Marlin from Finding Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
All of Rainbow Fish's friends besides Rainbow Fish.
The Sebastian from Little Mermaid.
That's a crab, so that's a pretty bad fish.
Mm-hmm.
That one from the example from that quote that they talk about Albert Einstein saying, where if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll think it's stupid. That's
a really sad fish.
We're talking about... These aren't really lesser fish so much as fish with low self-esteem.
Yes.
But boy, is that a weird dot that we were able to connect very well.
I think of like an angler fish, but he's got like he flashes every so often.
Anglerfish have that thing where the males are really tiny and they attach to the females and just turn into a ball sack. That might be the winner for low self-esteem.
The guy on SpongeBob who says my leg.
Oh, yep. We are doing a good job of feeding our pets.
Yes, these are his. So, yes, I guess as a responsible pet owner, not supporting overfishing.
But do support making fish really depressed so we can feed them to our giant squid crab friends.
Yes, low self-esteem fish, A+. Okay, I mean, that's... anything else besides, sleeping, whatever, you don't... If you have a fish in a tank, you don't, maybe you put in, a cool castle.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean, with the Kraken, you could just sink a real castle.
That's true. Although we're on this coastal town, it'd be more like, hey, Kraken, help me destroy this theme park.
Ooh, that's fun. That's a fun activity.
The pier, so you can it's a Ferris wheel.
Aw, that'd be really fun to see a puppy Kraken just playing with a Ferris wheel
in a house of mirrors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all sunken.
Oh, well, that might be dangerous. That might have some broken glass in it. I don't want to hurt his bits.
Right, and I think he'll destroy anything with a roof.
Right. Oh, also,
it's just an upside down boat.
If he's a crab, if he's an octopus, then he's shedding weird sloughs of skin off. If he's a crab, he's shedding a whole shell.
Mm.
And you're gonna have to feed him some eggs or something to get that, whole eggs to get that calcium back.
I like the pitch of whole eggs.
Whole eggs. The craziest thing about the Kraken's diet is that he actually has to just eat a bunch of eggs for a while.
I'm just trying to imagine because there's no situation. I don't care what size this Kraken is. There's no point when you hold up an egg to him, and it's not the smallest thing ever.
Eggs, lots of eggs.
It's not like eating an atom. Yes, and I think to kind of circle back to the original points of the Kraken pet owners of movies, I think they often keep the Kraken hungry and deprived.
That's very much Zeus's MO.
That he keeps him locked up and just that's why when he releases him, he's all angry and upset to go. I think if you feed a Kraken a healthy amount, then perhaps sailors might not have to beware as much.
Oh, like fish, like a shark in the aquarium.
Oh, exactly like that. That's a good connection. You
know how they have those tanks with a bunch of sharks and also a bunch of regular fish?
Yes.
Yeah, they have to feed the sharks regularly or else they'll start to eat the regular fish. And I'm like, buddy, I got a solution for you. Don't put the sharks in there with the... Why was that why did you do that? They don't do that at the zoo. They don't just put a bunch of lions and some gazelles and hope for the fucking best.
It's very true. Maybe it's the 3D environments. They figure there's enough cubic square footage.
They're just
that they might just not bump into each other.
They're so transfixed by the majesty of the ocean and, like, under the sea is just on a loop in their heads that they forgot about basic animal husbandry.
Yes. I don't think spaying and neutering a kraken is worth it.
I think this is such a big animal that it can't have a lot of reproductive urges. Like, it's like that thing where elephants are pregnant for like 2 years.
They're definitely, as an apex predator, they're not like in a rush.
But then again, they are kind of a kaiju. And kaiju are always pregnant.
Oh, I was wondering where you're going with that, because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, kaiju aren't horny?
They're not
Where's
horny.
This coming from?
They are always pregnant. There's always the kaiju that's like, oh my god, it laid eggs! And then they have to fight the 1997 baby Godzillas.
Correct. So, yeah, that's bad. But I think it's got to be like a sea crab situation. Not a sea crab, like a sea turtle situation. Where only like a fraction of kraken make it out.
They lay a bunch of eggs in a cruise ship. And they hatch and, oh man, this is a sweet D&D encounter.
So it's just like, it's Jurassic Park, but krakens, right?
Yeah, or like Kraken. It's like Aliens, but with krakens.
Much better.
Puppy krakens.
And that's a good time to pick one up when it's on this cruise ship and it's just a little buddy.
Yeah. Pick up a runt that would have gotten eaten anyway and train it to love you.
Or try and selectively breed its tentacle length.
And speaking of that thing that I was talking about, on the show Pets 101 and Cats 101 and Dogs 101, what's the last section that they always talk about?
Oh, I watch this show religiously. So it's the part where the cat pitches its new invention to a series of judges, and they make a tough deal with it that you have to, and it cuts to commercial like way too many times, right?
Right. The part where they talk about how good the pet will be in a family environment. This brings us to a segment that I pitched a while ago, but I gave it to Adam because I'm calling it Adam's Family Values.
Correct. How do you see this playing into Adam's family values?
Do you think a kraken would do well in a family environment?
No.
Well, why ever not?
Like, krakens are loners. They don't play well with others. You can have one as there's plenty of loner pets out there. If you have a tortoise, you might be a-okay, just one of them. Same thing goes for like a crab friend.
Well, do you think it's safe for kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that kraken go for like big prey.
That's a good point. The kids are safer than the adults, actually.
Yeah, we mentioned little fish a while ago, but that's because there's a bunch of them. At most, you're going to see like 2 or 3 kids. I'm just imagining like a beachside like jungle gym that the kraken is providing for the kids.
Aw.
I feel like they're into that. Like they're raising up their tentacles and stuff. They're not just pecking at everything. It's a smart creature.
They're handing the kids a Ferris wheel to use as a jungle gym. I think this Ferris wheel, in my mind, has changed size a lot, depending on what purpose I want it to serve.
Right. But, yeah, so...
We should describe it like the Pets 101 guy, where it's just like, at the end. So, in summary, the Kraken is a large breed that loves pets, and needs a large yard, and loves children. And Kraken needs grooming. Gotta groom that Kraken. Also, it eats leaves or something. I don't know. I'm Pets 101 man. I talk like this, and then I say this, and then it goes down again. That's how I talk with my words. Pass the salt. I went to the grocery store.
That was a missing point of criteria for us. That was a missing point of criteria for us. Grooming, not a thing. Impossible.
No. Well, that's where the eggs came in.
Yes, right. You just have to hope that for when the show comes around, that the Kraken has recently shed. So I think it's time to take this to the final rating place.
I think it absolutely is. I think we're circling around back in that whirlpool again.
So as a pet, I think the Kraken is pretty up there. I'm thinking like an 8 out of 10 myself.
I am rating it an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a beyond an exceptional pet.
They're good dogs, Brent.
Yeah, great dogs of the sea.
The Kraken, great dogs of the sea.
So thank you for joining us on this another exciting episode of Finding Monster Rights. See you next time when we find other monsters in different stratospheres of the planet.
Fighting for freedom.
And the American way.
It's the Kraken coming to save the day.
8 arms of freedom.
8 arms of love.
1 beak and 2 of the biggest
eyes you've ever heard of. It's the Kraken, and he's a good boy. It's the Kraken.
All right, is that our ending?
I think I might cut it before then.
Great.